All right, so as people are joining, we're just going to start off with a brief introduction. I do see this being about 30 minutes long today instead of the whole hour. So this is really to start the conversation, give you some exercises to think through how you want to map out your marketing strategy, your customer journey strategy. So the intent really here is to give you some tools and then probably take this offline and let you go from there. I'm happy to stay on longer if people want to really talk through and really work through the mapping together or ask any questions. So feel free to interrupt. As a reminder, I am Katie Gibson. I am the CEO of Wavelength. We are an alumni software portal where we really focus on data management, alumni engagement, and trying to simplify your efforts with outreach, with personalization, and really making the alum feel connected back with your school. So what we're going to do today is try and address the multiple different ways that alumni can interact with your school while you understand where they're coming from. I might sound like a broken record here because I've said this in previous roundtables, but the perk of where we all are today is that we're alums ourselves. So there is an understanding of what an alum might be experiencing. You can look back at, if I received this interaction, what would I do on behalf of my alma mater? How might this look for a different school? So as I go through these exercises, it's a really great way to self-reflect on what you're doing today and what you could be doing in the future, maybe identifying what your challenges are. And feel free to interrupt with questions, with feedback. And also, if you have any real successes or even some hiccups of, hey, we've tried this, but actually it didn't work. I know that a lot of people like to learn from each other because what's great also about your positions is that at this point in your school stage, your alumni are not actually competitors with each other. So you can learn from each other from a variety of different schools and really be able to share those wins and losses. So without further ado, I'm hoping everyone can see my screen, but ultimately what we're going to be talking about is this lifetime journey and the annual experience you might be having with your alumni base. So that lifetime journey is really thinking through all of the stages someone experiences once they've graduated. And it's not from your school, it's just what are the life stages that they're a part of. So we're going to actually go through mapping this out. I'm going to share a free tool with you on how you can visualize it and then overlay not only the visualization of what are the stages an alum at a young alumni or established adult or middle age or retiree or however else you want to describe them. You can overlay the school initiatives that might be relevant to them at that point in time on their journey. Ultimately, we're also going to go through that annual experience, as I said, and we're going to try and think through, okay, throughout the year, what are you doing today? What can you be doing down the line? And identifying, actually the school already is communicating with the alumni at a broader community-wide communications. How do we personalize and take advantage of what already exists within your school structure so you're not trying to recreate the wheel? So when it comes to yearly contact points, we're going to start there and then go to the full alumni mapping towards the end of the call. There are a few different visuals. You can either do it in this calendar form here, as you see, or have it longitudinal, just to really visualize what is happening year round. I highly encourage working in the way that you love to work, whether that's whiteboarding to, I know I really like to write things down. It helps me visualize. If you prefer, there's a lot of Google Sheets and other materials that let you do kind of free group sharing so multiple people can be inputting or whatever systems you use. I'm all about trying to take advantage of what you've got already in your systems, but also how can it work to the way you like to work? Ultimately, whether you are writing on a planner and I'm going to share some other documents with you on what it could look like from a spreadsheet organization standpoint. What you want to do is lay out in each month a bullet form of what are the key school happenings that are relevant to your alumni base. This can be anywhere from physical events, start of school to graduation, to reunions, to homecoming. to those that are more contact points like emails and social posts. What you want to see as you are laying all of this out on a month to month basis is take this step back and really see what months have a lot of alumni contact points and what months don't. And there's never going to be equilibrium, and that's okay. But what you have to understand, if all of a sudden you're trying to plan for more events or plan for more initiatives, overlay your school happenings, which obviously usually involves more work from your side, with the understanding of what, as a general human being, that month might entail as well. Be it holidays, be it if I'm raising a family, what is my school, what are my child's responsibilities? What are they up to? Or my family responsibilities? What are travel responsibilities? So even if there are emptier months, it's an understanding of, you know what? Most people are taking vacation during this time during the summer, or it's a really busy time around graduation and reunions. We don't need to add something new in. Ultimately, map out month to month what's happening, but also bracket it in terms of the various types of initiatives that you have going on. Are they in-person touch points? Are there more geographically remote opportunities? When I'm saying the quiet months and the lighter touch points, this is where you can start to identify, are there any zones in which it's too quiet? Are there light touch points that you can provide, be it an extra email communication? Or are there other Zoom opportunities, fireside chats that you can offer for those that are not geographically present but still want to stay engaged? When you're thinking through the month to month touch points, you also have to think through, of all of these activities I'm providing, who is actually receiving this communication and who is this the most interesting to? So when we're saying receiving the communication or receiving that contact point and engagement, we're talking about the concept of, if you have a newsletter, the newsletter is not going out to everyone. Technically, the newsletter is going out to everyone you have emails for. So there's going to be a pocket of individuals that are not receiving it. Same with events. You're hosting an event in person. Unless that in-person event happens to be around travel times for the holidays, or it's a really big draw to let people or encourage people to travel back, maybe reunions will do that. There are other events you might be hosting that are really restrictive to the geographical presence of who is in your area, who can travel to you easily. So when you're thinking about not only the mapping of, hey, here are all the different touch points I've got, it's also thinking through the concept of, how are we actually broadly supporting a wide range of age groups and interests within the alumni base. So with that said, you want to really consider, as I mentioned, everything from events to social posts to email communications, volunteering, donations, school interactions. There's probably a lot more I haven't listed out here, but I just wanted to capture kind of the bigger buckets of, when you are writing out in your whatever visual you want, make sure you're capturing all of these potential touch points, including the school-wide interactions. So when we're doing that, and I'm going to share these out, I'm switching over to sharing some spreadsheets. And if you can't see that, please comment. But essentially from the spreadsheets, here are some visuals that you can use to help map out marketing or touch points. This is, we use HubSpot as one of our services. They have some really great resources. Rather than recreate the wheel, I did like to pull this out because it helps you visualize from a week to week basis, what are the communications, what are the initiatives happening? So you could actually replicate this month to month, really put in to the week and day, when should we be posting? There are a lot of various statistics and data around what days have upticks of email open rates to social interactions to event attendance. You can really start to plot out not only month to month what's going on, but when does it make sense to the day. Now, this document, again, I'll be sharing it out after this call, has the ability to really show the mapping out by social. So all of these tabs can show you, should I be posting on a certain time frame or date? These are just a few ways to track. This goes granular to the day and time. I technically like to use something that's a little bit lighter because I just, from my standpoint and my role, I'm not doing the posting. So I just like to visually see, okay, what are the months we're working on? In what area should we be posting or should we be sending out communications? So this visual, you're gonna learn soon enough that I really like I like colors here, but essentially this visual, instead of it being the calendar view, I like to make each column a month and then actually map out color coded by type of communication or type of engagement touch point. So what is the messaging that's going out in July? What is the school timetable? Like, what events are happening at the school? Are there alumni specific events? Are there holidays that we need to be aware of? Personally, you also might want to loop in like their initiatives that are going on with you, just so that, again, going back to the PowerPoint presentation, as you're looking at all of these different touch points that might be going out each month, or hey, volunteering, we're going to want to gear up volunteering before reunions, get the class officers engaged. So give that 2 months ahead of time. We need to do a volunteer training. It really helps to spread out the view into what's everything going on in that month. So kind of the deep dive, to also take a step back at year round, what's heavier months, like what's going to take more lift to support, what type of work do I need to do before the event happens itself for that initiative. So these are just a few tools. Again, we'll share out both, but you don't want to miss any parts of these annual touch points. And you really don't want to miss, going back to the view up top here, everything that you're supplying to this alumni base is a wide range of ages. You might, depending on your school, have young alumni as young as high school, and you might have older alumni that are reaching the 90s. So when you're thinking about, oh, you know what, I've got a touch point, I'm sending out an email to individuals, that email is being read anywhere from 18-year-old to 90-year-old. The various articles you're sending out are going to be received differently. Same with social channels, like what social posts are you posting to, and your audience is going to be different. So try and consider what language you're using. And I'm all for A/B testing. So as you're sending out communications, as you're sending out events, you can check the registration. Who's attending? Are there different age brackets? Are there different classes that are more engaged than less? What click-through rate do you have? Because of the subject line is going to be like more interested. So you've got open rates in the 40s to up to 60s rather than lower open rates when you send at a different time of day or different topic. Data is really going to be your friend here. Getting a baseline understanding of what your engagement is going to help you identify from the calendar perspective where you should be putting your efforts. Because a lot of times, if you take a step back and like really map to the full calendar view, this is where it might feel like a lot. And this is where you can start to cull as you get data to support your initiatives of understanding, you know what, this is a school priority. We need to make this work. We tried this last year. The results weren't great in terms of the amount of effort being put in. So from a year-round perspective, there are a few ways to do it. I will send you those 2 spreadsheets on visual ideas. One thing to keep in mind is there are a lot of solutions out there to help you in creating more content. So we will sometimes use ToolFlow. Basically, what we're able to do is, if we're doing webinars like this, rather than spending a full time trying to write full blog posts, we can actually input, hey, here's the script. We want a quick blog post of like what was discussed, and then we'll edit it accordingly. It's not actually taking away our voice, and we're able to make any edits we want, but it quickly puts into writing our video and then we can pick and choose what we want. Alternatively, we can say, hey, this is for a Facebook post versus an Instagram post. Like, change this LinkedIn post that we made and turn it into a Facebook post, because you want to post differently. The voice, the audience is different. There are tools out there that help. And if you can find those solutions for you, and I know that you might have a marketing team, you might not, you might be the sole person trying to do it all, trying to rewrite or repurpose. If there are solutions out there, we always encourage trying to have some help there. So when it comes to the year-round side, again, I want to talk about engagement. Engagement's going to differ, and it's going to ebb and flow. So you're going to have some young alumni be hyper-focused on, getting right out of college and their first career, their first life out of their parents' home, out of college. They might be less focused on school, on their alma mater, or vice versa. Some people might really have a strong connection and want to stay engaged. You're going to have an up and down in terms of engagement level, and that's okay as well. So you don't want to consider those that are disengaged and unaware as being non-contactable or giving up on them. It's just their life changing. So I did a very quick hit on the annual side of thinking through, but what I really want to focus on is this alumni journey mapping. So the alumni journey mapping, I'm going to show you this on Figma. This is actually a free solution for up to like a certain amount of mapping. So you don't have to use this service. We like to use it just because there's really easy ways to map it out, and you can share it across various people. So I'm actually going to switch over to the customer journey mapping on the web. So these tools are a way that you can overlay the concept of what is a human being experiencing post-graduation, and overlay that with what are the school opportunities to have meaningful relationships and contact points as people are moving through their life. So some of the tools are down below here. I like to do some color coding of the purple is just major milestones. Maybe not everyone experiences them, but graduation, I've put in blue. All the blue in this scenario are potential school contact points, and this is where you can overlay. So blue circles are, they graduated from your school. Now into the purple, these are just life stages. They're in this young alumni section, they're starting college, maybe they're doing internships, there's college graduation, there's their first job. After that, they're going into this established adult section of, are they potentially career shifting? Maybe they're getting into partnered relationships, buying a house, like major life decisions here, growing a family. What you can do is actually create various sections. So in this toolkit below, you can actually add a section here. So it will overlay across the various points you've created, and you can layer it so you're able to move things around. This section you can simply relabel. So I've got young alumni, established adult. You can do middle age, whatever you want to do. And so once you actually, and I'm going to just delete this for a second. So you're able to add any markers as you go along. So I have a little box here. I'm adding to the flow. You just click the corner and you're able to go and create more life stages here. They're growing a family. Maybe they're moving cities. You want to start thinking about your own experience, and you can start to add all of these big points in someone's life. And again, I'm just choosing the shapes that I want, the colors I want, all of that. But the intent is, after you start adding these different life stages, that's when you can start to see, where are young alumni? Where are the opportunities to target young alumni interactions? There's the graduation, there's the 5th year reunions. Could we do congratulations message around college graduation? Do we have the ability to add like maybe support around internships, career support to, do we have older alumni that have the ability to provide internships at the companies that they're that they're working at. So internship or job board. You want to think through whether or not there are necessary interactions and the ability to have meaningful touch points of, okay, growing a family, is that something that we can track and celebrate? Maybe you're doing this through class note collection where you're encouraging people to send in those celebratory remarks. What does that mean for you? You can, after learning about someone having a child, if they're local, will they become a parent at your school eventually? There's so much within this cycle that you can create that you really want to think through the touch points that are the most relevant to you. I'm going to come back to this visual in a second, but I want to focus on the impact versus effort matrix. You want to really focus on how much effort you're putting in for the amount of impact it has. There can be those quick wins of low effort, high impact. I would say some publications, be it newsletters to social posts, that has some broader reaching ability that's pretty quick to create and has a broad audience that you can interact with. But it might just take some testing in terms of what that information is the most relevant. Those bigger projects that have higher effort, higher impact, have the ability to be really meaningful and long-term effects, because ultimately, as we're thinking about alumni engagement, we all know that some of that engagement comes from the hope of donations and more interactions with the school beyond just some of these touch points. So those big projects are necessary. What you want to remove are those thankless tasks in this lower left-hand corner, high effort, low impact. That's why I mentioned doing the mapping of the calendar from an annual year perspective, because you can look at, hey, we've done this a few years now. This is definitely worth the effort, or the amount of effort this takes and the amount of people attending, it just doesn't make sense. You want to start visualizing this so you can have those conversations with leadership, so you can have those conversations with your team on, where should I put my effort? The low effort, low impact, if it's a checklist item, I just would get rid of it too. There's so many times where we have something on our to-do list and we're like, you know what? How many, like, is this really impactful enough to do, rather than it's just there, we've always done it, so keep doing it. And there are a lot of weekly things that happen on people's tasks lists. I have my team regularly try and figure this out around, what are we doing just because it's been done this way before versus what are we doing because it's helpful for us now or the future. So when you are thinking about this impact effort matrix, and we're going back to this Figma mapping, you want to have this be kind of a brainstorming board as well. So you can lay out, the purple zones of, hey, this is the journey. We've got young alumni, established adult, middle age, retirees. We've got everything mapped out. These major decisions they're having to make. And I withheld making this list of everything, and I'm happy to keep working through it for those who want to stay on the call. But essentially, there's a plethora of things you could map out. Are you trying to be focused on event-based opportunities to interact with people, to, we're really like the values of our school, we're going to be focusing on X on someone's life journey. You're going to want to call out what's really important for you and your school here in this purple mapping section. The overlaying of the where does the school get involved, that's where you can play around with what do we have today on our annual initiatives that already fit into easy touch points here. And so you can get your list of, hey, these events already are happening. How relevant is it to someone who is in their first job if we're doing a career fair versus someone who's a retiree? You're going to be having events throughout the year that are not relevant to everyone, and that's okay. You just want to make sure that the initiatives you've got going on in general are capturing the wide audience at some point. So as long as you have a balance of, we're targeting various age groups, various life stages throughout the year at some point, then you're okay. But this is also a great visualization to understand, wow, we have a lot of support and initiatives for older alumni, but the young alumni and those established adults, that 20 to 35 range, we're struggling a little bit in keeping them engaged. What can we change? What can we do? So again, from a training perspective, this is Figma. Basically, you're able to create whatever type of mapping you want. You just pick the triangle, you put it down, you can remap it to anything. So the ebb and flow, you can change the colors, the text, all of that, move it around. And this way you're able to really influence where and have this be a brainstorming event. You can share this with others as well. So multiple team members can place this in, and you can have clear expectations of, all right, blue, we're going to focus on what's the school doing now in these major life stages. Red, maybe these are, hey, let's not do this initiative, or this is an area where we know they're really busy in their own personal lives. It doesn't make sense for us to put our effort in to try and engage with them other than sending out regular, maybe email touch points to know that they're there, but ultimately it's not worth the effort to try and get them back at the school because they've got 3 young kids at home and they're not traveling across the country to do so. So you really want to be able to work with your team or work with yourself on establishing what this mapping looks like. But this is really easy to use and visually helpful to understand where are those empty moments, where are those areas where let's test this out for the next year, because we've got an opportunity in X month that's a little light. Let's figure it out from there. So as I said, we were just going to keep it to 30 minutes today. I'm going to send out all of these resources from the spreadsheets I shared to the customer journey mapping itself. I will build out more of the customer journey mapping so that we'll share out the baseline across these 4 criteria that I've got here: young alum, established adult, middle age, retirees. I will send out just like a baseline journey for you all to experience. But again, this is all editable because you need to make something that works for you, that works for your school's priorities, and that works for everything that your goals are set to, because it's going to differ school by school. So we're really trying to create resources here that are adaptable to what you need as an individual. But I'm here for any questions if you have them, and thanks for joining us today. So I'm going to just stay on for anyone who wants to for the next few minutes. I'll just be working on this journey map that I can kind of walk anyone through. And if not, I'll send out these resources soon after the call. Great. Thanks, everyone. Oops. Seeing the chats come in. Great. Yep, happy to help. We'll do a more in-depth, we'll keep doing a variety of roundtables that are some like this, where it's exercise focused, so you can do the takeaways versus true presentation with some stats and other materials. So stay tuned for more, but we've got our next webinar, I believe, in 2 weeks. I'll have to check that one. All right. Great. Well, thanks everyone for joining. We will see you all in a few weeks.